Socialism is a great idea, in theory, but the fall of communism in Europe is often assumed to have proven that when applied in practice, socialism doesn't work. Conversely, capitalism became the unchallenged economic philosophy in the West. By this time, a process in public discourse had been well underway that merged a range of economic and political concepts under an individualist umbrella that included free market capitalism. Likewise, collectivist concepts, rather than being considered to be distinct ideas that may have some overlapping principles, came to be regarded as inseparable from each other. Therefore, as the Cold War progressed and was finally won by the West, not only was it necessary to dispose of communism, but also over time the entire set of collectivist principles to which it belonged. So there has developed an understanding among many regarding the nature of capitalism, and individualism has become part of that understanding. This is one of the insidious obfuscations of modern capitalist discourse. Capitalism purports to be entirely about individuals making free choices for themselves, or at most for themselves and their families. Descriptions of capitalism will often depict a business owner who wants to sell a widget. If consumers like the product and the price, the business owner will be rewarded when consumers buy the widget. Our minds treat the business as an individual, and in this scenario it basically is. But if we maintain the underlying assumptions of this scenario to businesses generally, this description becomes misleading as is applied to businesses of size. Businesses do not typically operate in the market as individuals. For a buyer to be on equal footing with the seller, they must be able to evaluate alternatives, discern quality, determine likelihood of failure, and assess risk. This is potentially possible if a consumer has a handful of items to purchase, but the reality is that we have hundreds of things to buy. The seller, on the other hand, typically is selling a few items at best and is well resourced with specialist knowledge and the ability to market the product. One capitalist rebuttal is that this is ultimately irrelevant, as a company selling an inferior product will be identified in the market over time, and this company will lose business. This rationale fails in at least three ways. Consumers have far too many items to purchase to be able to make a reasonable judgment. Can you imagine having to determine if the shoes you want are really made of leather, that a hairdryer you buy won't die after 6 months, that some lactose-free milk is in fact lactose-free? Imagine these sorts of problems with everything in your life, from groceries to clothes to appliances and insurance. The average person simply doesn't have the time to fully assess all of these. And this isn't even taking into account safety considerations. Safety problems can sometimes take months or years to manifest and could have deadly consequences the first time the product malfunctions. Safety issues often require specialist knowledge to assess, so the average person couldn't properly assess the product even if they had the time to acquire the knowledge. Finally, there is a host of subjects in which a consumer would require expertise, from law to health and medicine, and a range of scientific research and testing. It's attractive to think, as Ben Shapiro would have you believe, that success in the free market is down to individual responsibility and ambition. But given the asymmetry between business and consumer, and the fact that a business has the benefit of their collective workforce to achieve a common goal, there is a need for some form of collectivism supporting consumers to balance the buyer-seller equation.